17 years old, and for once, they'd vanished without me, something practically unheard of. My parents were that kind, always home, glued to the house like it was their third skin, rarely ever leaving together unless they had no choice. Naturally, I saw my chance, rare, fleeting, and totally mine. She grinned at me, like it was obvious, like the whole world had been waiting for this moment. I tried to warn her neighbors might see, but she pestered me until I cracked. We were both too used to swimming in daylight to just wade through water without a care. Never had we done anything this bold, and honestly, I was always the good one, the quiet kid who didn't make waves. It was romantic, cheesy maybe, but it felt real, almost unreal, like we'd stepped into a dream. The house, you could see right through it from the pool. Bay windows looked straight into the living room. Inside, lights were still on. Outside, everything was dark and quiet except for us. It gave me comfort, that feeling of being connected, even when we floated away from it all. Then the silence broke. I glanced up at the windows and froze. There was something moving on the far wall, like someone had stepped into the house and started walking deeper inside. My heart jumped straight to my throat. I didn't want to scare MJ, so I whispered that we needed to get out of the pool. She didn't question me, just followed quickly, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and curiosity. "Jay," I told her, "hide in the pool house. Turn off the light. Stay quiet until I come back." Her playful grin was gone, replaced by something sharp, alert. I opened the back door as quietly as I could and stepped into the kitchen. That's how my parents had raised me. I handled things myself, grabbed a knife off the counter, moved through the house like I'd been trained for this moment. Someone had definitely come in, no doubt about it. The signs were small, almost invisible. I started wondering if it wasn't even a thief anymore. My heart pounded like I was running from something unseen but real. Checked every room on the ground floor. All doors locked tight, windows sealed shut. Where were they now? The bravado faded fast. At one point, I just got fed up and called the police. They came quickly, thorough search, yard to attic, but found nothing. Not a single footprint in the grass, no signs of entry. One officer even suggested I might have scared them off. I wasn't convinced. It was past midnight, no one else around, and they left without so much as a clue. MJ and I didn't sleep again that night. We barricaded ourselves into the bedroom, huddled under blankets until morning came. Around 4 a.m., I woke up to creaking floorboards above me. Then footsteps moving down the stairs, slow, deliberate, like whoever it was knew exactly what they were doing. Adrenaline hit me hard. I grabbed the knife from my nightstand and told Jay to stay put. By the time I reached the front door, it was already wide open. Whoever had been there was gone. I didn't call them back. What good would it do? I locked all the doors again, went back to sleep. The next morning hit me like a slap. All our kitchen knives were missing. Not just one or two, every single one. And not just those, they'd taken smaller stuff too. Cash, watches, electronics. But the knives, that's what haunted me. It felt like they left us a message, just didn't tell us what it was. When my parents came home and I told them about it, they were surprisingly calm. "We've seen weirder," my dad said casually. My mom nodded, eyes flickering with something between concern and curiosity. I guess I hadn't been scared easily, or maybe just hadn't let myself be. Still, even now, sometimes when I'm alone in the dark, I wonder how they got inside. Where did they hide while we were searching? Why didn't anyone see them? It's one of those things that sticks with you forever. That happened last year during Hollywood Bash weekend, Rowan University's big spring festival. Think Coachella meets college campus party, carnival rides, food trucks, lawn games, and a surprise headliner to top it off. It was supposed to be the most fun day of the year. I was a sophomore then, like everyone else staying out late that night. Rowan's a quiet suburban neighborhood. Safe enough. It was 2 a.m., and the campus felt eerily quiet, but he hadn't noticed anything unusual until now. He recalled seeing online posts about masked figures roaming campus, something he ignored because he just wanted to get home. He didn't see the masked figures himself, but others had reported sightings, something he dismissed as an overreaction. The masked figure suddenly stood up, and before he could react, the narrator bolted down the hall. He waited until silence returned before daring to peek out. The silence felt too perfect, too deliberate. He thought maybe it was over, until he saw him again sitting calmly with his bike leaning against the wall. He noticed the chair placed deliberately, as if waiting for something or someone. He held his pepper spray, not to threaten, but to show he wasn't afraid yet. As he turned to leave, 3 more masked figures rode up, laughing and shouting, but not touching him. Even if they were fake or airsoft guns, it still felt real, like they wanted to scare us into submission. He walked me back to Chestnut, and I finally felt safe again. They'd gone by then. Didn't understand why until the next morning. Told my mom everything. She ended up filing a report. One even pulled out what looked like a gun. Campus police took it seriously after that. Others think it's an armed group of non-students who somehow got into the dorm during the party. This happened 2 summers ago before I broke up with Amanda. Kept it quiet for a while, not because it was embarrassing, but because I didn't want to risk doxing her or her family. At the time, Amanda worked as a camp counselor in the city about 25 minutes away from her wealthy suburban neighborhood. She loved the job for reasons I still don't fully understand, but I wasn't going to be a jerk and say it outright when the counselors decided where to hold their end of summer party. Amanda's house was the obvious pick. Her family dynamic, well, let's just say it didn't feel like a real family. More like 3 colleagues who hated each other, but all had the same narcissistic streak. The party was packed, loud, chaotic. Everyone spilled out into the backyard. There was one guy who stood out, Pete, from the moment he walked in. Bad vibes, loud, confident. He wasn't even hiding it, full-on flirting. I felt disrespected, but didn't want to make a scene. As things got louder, messier, more chaotic, I needed air, stepped outside into the cool driveway. That's when I saw someone standing at the far edge of the property, motionless, under the dim glow of a street lamp. I approached. Probably that liquid confidence made me do it. I don't think I would have otherwise. He took slow steps toward me before stopping. Definitely a man, but no clear features in the dark. He didn't answer my question. Instead, he asked, "Are your parents home?" That threw me off. Not just what he said, but how he said it. He repeated his question, this time naming Amanda's parents knew who they were. He nodded and said okay before turning and walking away. Didn't head toward a car or another house, just walked straight down the street, vanishing into darkness. I watched for as long as I could, but it was too dark to tell where he went. Something didn't sit right with me, but I tried to brush it off. I went back inside and ended up in the basement playing ping pong with some guys. Amanda had her pool table upstairs, so most of the crowd was up there. That's when I heard the doorbell ring. Didn't think much of it, at least not at first. Party. People coming and going is normal, but something in my subconscious tugged at me like I was missing something as I stood there mindlessly slapping a ping pong ball around. That's when I realized Amanda had told everyone to come through the back door, which didn't even have a bell. I excused myself from the game and headed upstairs, probably overreacting, but wanted an answer. As I passed Amanda's room, I noticed she was passed out on her bed, completely oblivious to everything around her. That's when it hit me. I might be the only sober person left in this house. Turned off her bedroom light gently. I shut the door quietly, not wanting to wake her. When I arrived at the front door, a girl named Bella was waiting drunk and belligerent. Getting a clear answer out of her was as easy as catching a squirrel. Eventually, she said, some old guy was at the door, claiming to be a family friend. I yelled, "You let him in." She shrugged and walked away, presumably to pick someone else for the night. I assumed she was heading off to pick someone else for the night. I rushed upstairs to Amanda's parents' room, and my worst fears came true. Drawers were pulled open, jewelry boxes emptied, and the closet was torn apart as if someone had been searching for something specific. It was clear. He'd robbed them, and I figured he was already long gone. Everything was gone, exactly what he'd come to take. As I headed downstairs, I saw movement behind me, something quick and silent. It was a quick movement, like someone had slipped past me from behind. I turned too late. He tackled me before I could see his face. He knocked all the air from me and clawed at my shirt, trying to tear it off. I managed to push him off, but it was panic, not strength, that brought me back on my feet. He ran straight for the window, dove out like a shadow. He hit the roof with a thud and vanished into the night. I ran to the window and saw him disappear from sight. I didn't chase him. I knew I wouldn't catch him. I just stood there, catching my breath. Damage was done, he was gone, but the encounter left its mark. I didn't want to be the one watching over everyone anymore. I didn't want to be the one kicking people out, so I called the police. The police came, and since they knew Amanda's family, they just cleared everyone out. I secretly thanked them for helping me get rid of everyone. Once the police were gone, I went downstairs and slapped Pete. He woke up and told himself he had to find a way home. He threw up before calling an Uber the next morning. Amanda had no choice but to call her parents and tell them what happened. They were furious, understandable, but Amanda didn't care. She'd always been rebellious, brushed off authority like it was beneath her. She didn't even bother calling the police. Still, don't know how that guy knew Amanda's parents were home. Part of me thinks whoever robbed them must have known them in some way. Looking back on that night revealed more about Amanda than I wanted to admit. Her indifference, her carelessness, all red flags. I should have taken them seriously. Hindsight, as they say, is